Hi guys. So today I'm gonna present the ideas around vicissitude. So this is how this word is pronounced vicissitude. It is always written in plural form, so it has an S at the end. This presentation is done in a storytelling style, so stay tuned for this. First of all, I'm gonna explain the root of this word. So vicissitude came from French vicissitudo, which means alternate. The root vic came from Latin, meaning to take turn. We do not only interpret this word as having only two opposite sides, only this way or that way, but we interpret it as having various sides. So this way or those way. The meaning I found in dictionaries for this word is the change of circumstances, usually negatively noticeable. But however, we always try to find something positive if we want to. So because of tech X is a bit more to the positive side, so we can turn anything into positive. Before we came to before we come to brainstorming ideas, we would better look at the synonym and antonym. So this is how I actually started to think about a topic and idea around um, vicissitude. So let's look at the synonym. So the synonym of vicissitude can be change, variation, diversity, alternation, fluctuation, development, evolution, innovation, transition, transformation, metamorphosis, mutation, modification. And the opposite of this word can be those similarity, uniformity, stability. The chain of this word has decreased over the past few years, but we can use this word in the following cases, like the vicissitude of life, the vicissitude of time, human affair, human ethic, rule, and season. Now we come to the most interesting part. So potential ideas and speaker. Potential idea and speaker. These are just examples, but they are not limited to the speaker. They might not exactly like this on the event day, but I'm just brainstorming the idea right now. So first of all, we can have musician. I think musician is the one who appreciate the ideas of the vicissitude. You can know why? Imagine a song is written only using one tone. It would be very boring, right? So uh, every day you might listen to music and you might see the variation in tone, rhythm, and pitch. So musicians actually using that and manipulate the vicissitude of tone, rhythm to compose beautifully presented song. So we can listen to the second person we can invite to the event is Buddhist. We are not discussing the religion here, but ideas taught in religion. Religious person is not limited to Buddhists, but we can have people from many religions as long as they are not promoting religion on stage. Buddhists believe life is impermanent. Impermanent simply means limited. They realize the existence of vicissitudes of life and appreciate it. They believe that we are only happy if we accept the vicissitude of life. So when we die, we do not disappear, but our life would enrich other lives on earth. Here are some beautiful quotations I have collected on the internet. So you can spend time reading this and have some idea around the lesson taught in Buddhism or other religion. Another quote, it is not impermanent that make us suffer. What make us suffer is wanting things to be permanent when they are not. When faced the vicissitude of life, one might remain unshaken, sorrowless, standless, secure. This is the greatest welfare. Biologists. So we can talk about biology, and I believe biology relies pretty much on vicissitude. So the root bio mean life, bio mean life, and logy mean study. So biology is the study about life. Can be the life of animal, life of human, life of plants, um, and all living things surrounding us. Biologists understand the concept of life, how life have changed, developed, and undergone evolution. They can tell us about mutation, the change in our DNA, or natural selection, the process where organisms better adapted to the environment to survive. Evolution, the change in habitat, the change in heritable characteristics to be a successive generation, and even, of course, the growth and development of all species. So remember back, the C-tooth is talking about the change of something over time. So all the topic relate to the change. Mutation. Mutation is one of the eligible topic. Mutation, mutation can be good or bad. Bad mutation create diseases, but good mutation is the start of an evolution. Here we have some quotes. You are not mutation, you are evolution. If we didn't have genetic mutation, we wouldn't have us. You need error to open the door to the adjacent possible. So with our mutation, we are not what we are today. Modern human being changes, put life go on. Change is painful, but nothing is as painful as staying stuck somewhere we don't belong. As defined, natural selection is referred to the adaptation of species to the pressure in the environment. They are not limited to food, resources, weather condition, threat, but our daily pressure from work, peer, or study, something like that. You get the ideas. I will tell you the story about mutation and natural selection. So, back in time, so now we have 7 continents, right? So Africa, North America, South America, Europe, Asia, Antarctica, Australia. So, but back in time, all 7 continents originate from a giant one. In the past, it called Pangaea. Pangaea is the supercontinent. It's very big, and it was only originate from one continent, one big supercontinent. So, here Australia, Africa, and America, right here. You have also Eurasia. Eurasia is actually a combination of Europe and Asia. So our first ancestor is believed to be in Africa, originate from Africa, and they have migrate further to other part of the continent to look for food, look for the new habitat, look for the new environment to live in. So when organism and people and our ancestor migrate across the continent, and later on the continent are split into different 7 continents. The organism undergone different natural selection, different vicissitudes of life. So right here in Australia, we have kangaroo, and kangaroo. You cannot find kangaroo anywhere in the world because Australia is isolated on the southern hemisphere, and kangaroo actually undergone very different environment and pressurized in its life. So it undergone different changes to adapt to the environment in Australia. The changes can be categorized as divergent and convergent. Divergent is the process of two organisms in the same class diverse to become different, like the monkey and whale. They are both mammals, but one look like this and one look like that. Convergent is quite opposite. Two different organisms in different classes convert into develop similar characteristics. For example, the whale and the fish are different, but they have similar look because they are living in the same environment, which is the ocean. Human also experiences natural selection, and it is natural process. It is a natural process, would make us different and unique. That is why we shouldn't discriminate, but appreciate. We shouldn't discriminate, but appreciate the differences in our culture, appearance, background, and languages. Remember, we have the same ancestor. Nowadays, we still have a portion of our DNA from our ancestor. I have attached a video here about the changes of beauty standard over 100 years. So let's share it. Okay. I hope you guys can see it. That 1920 1930, 1940, 1950, 1960s, 1970. Okay, so to save time, I'm gonna stop there. But I know you gotta get the idea, right? So, okay. Okay, we just continue. So, as you can see, the standard of beauty, even in one country, it um, changes over time. So, over 100 years, and the standard of beauty had changed a lot, which is good because uh, we have some new thing coming up. We have new innovation, and we look at changes as something that good, and we love to change. So that's why we survive. So next, I'm gonna talk about evolution. Evolution. Without evolution, we are still monkeys. We're not what we are today. But to achieve that, we have to undergo various changes and over thousands of years. So from a monkey to a modern human, it takes thousands of years to undergo the changes. Sci- Scientifically, um, so in science, we are called Homo sapien. Homo sapien, the word you can see right here. So Homo actually means human, and sapien mean smart or wise. So we characterize ourselves as a smart monkey or a smart human. The image on the right, as you can see, have the skull of human and a deer. So this is the skull of human. This is the skull of the deer. So as you can see, the human skull actually have bigger brain capacity. You can see our brain right here, and it's bigger compared to the deer. And we also have a big jaw. This is the bone right here called the jaw. And we have bigger jaw compared to the deer. The image of the deer actually doesn't have the jaw at all, but you get the idea. Our jaw actually very big compared to the deer, if they have one. Remember back in the day, human is not living in a modern city like what we live today, but we live in a wild environment. We have to compete with relatively larger animal than us, like the crocodile, elephant, tiger, lion, something like that. That that is why we have to develop teamwork in order to survive. And you can see teamwork is still demanded until today by our employer because that's the fingerprint of human. So to achieve teamwork, we have to develop complex language system. That's why we need and develop a bigger brain and jaw. The big jaw enable more muscle to stick in. So this together with the flexible tongue help us communicate clearly. So we have the jaw because we need to have space for some muscle to stick in here, and our jaw become more flexible, and we can like move our mouth differently, and we can communicate languages. Our language system is very complex, and nowadays you can see there are over 200 languages around the world. So that very much along with that, we need to work upgrade so our free hand can handle the tools and the weapon to hunt other animals. So as you can look here, the word bipedalism or bipedal mean work by two legs. So bi mean two, pedal mean work. So bipedal, a work upgrade or work using two legs. So that the only ability of human. Other animal cannot work by two legs. They have to work by four legs. But human can work by two legs. And we have our free hand, two free hands, so we can handle tools and weapons, right? So in order to achieve this, human must have a very small pelvic bone. So the pelvic bone I just mentioned is the bone right here. The bone like the V shape right here. The image on the left is more than human, and the image on the right just an animation of what we can be look in the past. But just focus on the image on the left and look at the pelvic bone right here. We have very small pelvic bone. This bone must get smaller to enable the center of mass. So our center of mass is somewhere around here to always land on at least 1 foot at a time. So whenever I lift up 1 foot, my center of mass is always land on the other foot. So that's why we do not fall when we work. We have a relatively small pelvic bone compared to the deer by looking at the image. This is our pelvic bone, and it's relatively smaller than the deer. Along with a bigger brain capacity and a small pelvic bone, our childbirth became extremely hard because usually our baby head is relatively big compared to their mom pelvic bone. So I'm gonna show you guys another videos about it. Please stay focused and stay tuned. Okay. Okay. Childbirth. I'm gonna make the video faster. You can see the midwife have to turn the head of the baby 90 degree midway through. So as you can see from the video that our head is turned 90 degree midway through the process of childbirth. This makes it very painful to our mom. However, This brings us a wonderful parental values to almost every community. We all love and appreciate our parents. I attach here the video link so you can watch it on your own time. So next person we can have is Kelsila. Similar to the Buddhist, this person will understand the vicissitudes of life. They can give us good advice on how to manage through each stage. You can see on the picture, everyone have to go through the vicissitudes of life. We were born and then we grow up, we go to school, and then we graduate, got a job, and have our family, and then we get old, and then we die. Everyone have to go through that. And remember, the Buddha said, we cannot be happy if we don't appreciate the vicissitudes of life. Another true story. I know this might not happen to everyone, but yeah, when we were young, we have time and energy, but we don't have money. When we go up, we have money, energy, but we don't have time. And when we getting old, we have time, money, but no energy. Godzilla can talk about resilience. They can tell a wonderful story about resilience, how to stay resilient during the vicissitudes of life. Education. Although the world is developing and our education system might be a little bit slow to develop. This is the image on the of the car in the past and in the present. Let's say the image of the classroom in the past, and on the right, the image of the classroom right now. So you can see our education system is low compared to other sector of our daily life. Our system is not developing. It's developing but very slow. So we still, we still accept all the individual the same way. So my question is, should we accept the monkey and the fish by the ability to climate change? So I leave that question for you to answer. So the next person we can have is person working in finance. We can have people work in finance to talk about the truth of the market, the stock, the bond yield, interest rate, and how to manage our money, personal finance during the vicissitudes of the market. Similarly, we can have economists. They can tell us about vicissitudes of the environment, or the economy environment, the currency, supply, and demand. Also, they can talk about the world problem, such as poverty, starvation, COVID, or financial crisis, or even market crash. What should we do during this? Besides, we can also invite physicists and scientists. And the topic can be the vicissitude and conservation of energy. But that's just some example though. They can have different topics. Or the topic vicissitude of weather, sea level, or the morphosis of element. We can have engineer as well. Remember back, Vicissitudes also mean to alternate, so they can talk about alternative material. Like we use something else instead of plastic. Plastic bag, plastic wrapping everywhere. Plastic is everywhere nowadays, and it damages our environment and stay there forever. So as an engineer, they think about uh, different solutions to improve that. So they can make change to the material to make it more sustainable. Or they can tell us about the work they had done to sustain the building and infrastructure during seasonal challenge, such as earthquakes, collapse, or tsunami, or even space racing. How we can move to our planet to our space into space, like Elon Musk going to Mars, or NASA investing on the new planet, something like that. Mathematician, although builders and counselor and some other person can tell us to be happy and accept the vicissitudes of life, mathematician, mathematician want something that more accurate and precise and predictable. So they develop probability density function, period function, or the study of randomness and statistics to predict what's going on next. Thanks to them, we can predict our weather using weather forecast or even predict the earthquake in the next coming decades or the average expenses of a company on electricity bill, which it varies by month. Finally, why not having some motivational speaker and influencer? They are wonderful people. They can not only motivate themselves but also motivate people around them. The following are just some example, but not exactly who we can invite to the event. I know the people are very hard and they might very busy, so we might not be able to invite them. So Nick Vuzix, Nas Daily, Chai Seti, something like that. So to the end of my presentation, I would love to give you some final words and some quotation before this presentation ends. Personally, I reckon we need to appreciate the vicissitudes because they exist and make our life more meaningful. Remember, 1 and 0 do not mean anything, but 100101111 does. Who do I think we understand it? By individually, ATCG cannot build up a DNA. Meaning does not have any meaning if there is no A, E, I, M, and J. A musician usually doesn't use a tone to write a song. Variation is the art of beauty. Beauty have changed over time, and we love variation, we love changing, we love updating ourselves every day. The world would be very boring if there is no variation and vicissitude, you know. So finally, a part of interest, I think I'm gonna add the criteria: no extreme and inflammatory. I remember when I watched the new on television, The presenter always have a neutral facial expression, whether it is good or bad news. I believe the idea should stay neutral because we attack act and we want audience to question themselves, but we don't want to deliver an extreme argument to persuade them. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention. I know that I have some like skipping and some silence at the middle of my presentation, but I know it's not perfect. And I spent a lot of time in preparing this, and I actually don't have much experience and I'm not good at presenting at all. So please don't expect too much on me. So thank you for your time.